Rome didn't fall in a day, but it did fall. And many modern leaders are repeating the same mistakes. You probably are aware of the fact that the Roman Empire ruled the known world for about 1,000 years and then it crumbled from the inside out. And the scary part is that so many businesses and so many ministries today fail for the same reasons. I mean, when you think about the heart of ancient Rome, leaders were obsessed with power, wealth, expansion. Does that any of that sound really familiar? Like, this was an empire so powerful, it built roads across continents, yet so fragile it couldn't hold its own soul together. And when Rome fell, historians blamed the barbarians. But the truth, I think, is that Rome destroyed itself from within through pride, greed, and poor leadership. So there's a lot we can learn about leadership by looking at ancient Rome, and particularly for Christians. I mean, Jesus said, "What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his own soul?" In a sense, Rome gained the world but lost its soul. I mean, think about the fact that the roads built by the Roman Empire that connected millions of people, the church used those same roads to spread the gospel. God has always used worldly systems to advance eternal purposes. And when you think about Rome, I mean, Paul was able to plant churches in Rome, the world's most powerful pagan empire. What excuse do we have as Christians today for not living boldly? So, every business leader today, Christian leaders, in many ways, we're standing on some of the ideas from Rome: taxes, contracts, management, logistics. But Rome's success eventually destroyed it. So, what can you as a Christian leader learn from that? Your organization might not look anything like ancient Rome, but if pride, greed, chaos sneak in, history almost certainly will repeat itself. Okay, so let's talk through some of the lessons we can learn from ancient Rome. 9 modern business lessons from ancient Rome. This is in many ways the empire that defined business strategy, right, for over 1,000 years. So, lesson number 1: build to last. Rome wasn't built in a day, so we should invest in long term infrastructure. Balance quick wins with sustainable growth strategies. Their 50,000-mile road network was the ancient equivalent of Amazon's logistics system, right? It gave them a huge advantage. Augustus Caesar um, helped with the 200 years of peace, created stability that fueled unprecedented growth, long term planning. He prioritized sustainability over short term conquest. So you could call Rome the original scaled startup, right? 3 continents, 70 million people, 50,000 miles of roads, managed with 300,000 soldiers. This was in many ways a masterclass in efficiency. From a Christian standpoint, when we think about build to last, it makes me think about stewardship and having an eternal perspective, right? Rome built for centuries, but as Christians, we build for eternity. So a wise leader will invest not just in what grows fast, but in what will actually last. Psalm 127:1, unless the Lord build the house, the builders labor in vain. An application for those of you who are business leaders is to plan for sustainability, and for spiritual leaders, plan for legacy. Don't just try to build empires, build something that has kingdom impact. Like Rome's roads, your systems, whether in ministry or in business, should connect people ultimately to their purpose, something beyond themselves, not just to profit. So, number 1, build to last. Lesson number 2, share the power. Share the power. Rome was known for having diverse teams, and we realized that multiple perspectives strengthen decision making. Distributed authority prevents dangerous power. Leadership seemed to work quite well. From a Christian perspective, when we think about sharing the power, we should think about servant leadership and mutual submission. Just like Rome's republic thrived when the leadership was shared, true biblical leadership is about empowerment, not control. Think about Jesus washing his disciples' feet. Ephesians 5:21. Submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. So the application here is don't hoard authority to yourself. You might be a pastor, you might be the owner of your business, but develop leaders who can replace you. Jesus shared his power with 12 ordinary men, and the early church multiplied because of that distributed leadership. It's really important to diversify your revenues streams. The Publicani were Rome's entrepreneurs, the original business magnates. From a Christian standpoint, that third thing, diversify revenue, we can see that God provides through multiple streams for his people. Oftentimes, he provides through diverse channels. And particularly if you're a Christian businessman, I think the more you can diversify, the better, even for your family. Ecclesiastes 11:12, give portions to seven, yes to eight, for you do not know what disaster may come upon the land. So in business, as a Christian business person, diversify your income. In ministry, try to diversify your impact. You don't want to depend only on one donor, one client, one idea. You don't want to have just a great children's ministry, but not be ministering to the senior saints in your church. So trust God to supply through many means. And as a church or a ministry, try to diversify your impact. Just like we saw point three, diversify revenue. Lesson four is adapt or die. Obviously, some classic examples here would be Kodak and Blockbuster. Both of them failed to pivot, right? Kodak failed to pivot to the digital camera. Blockbuster had the chance to buy up Netflix, but they passed it over. Oh, this tiny upstart company, we don't need them. When you look at Netflix and Microsoft, at least when I'm recording this, they're constantly growing, evolving, and they have thrived. And their secret weapon, actually, the Roman legion, the military machine combined rigid discipline with tactical flexibility, like today's best, well, some of the worst in certain ways. Marcus Aurelius was the Stoic CEO. He practiced self awareness. He wrote meditations about resilience and stakeholders and checks on power. So, what do Christians think about that fourth point, adapt or die? Well, think about renewal, think about flexibility. Rome kept adapting in order to survive, stagnant empires fall. And in many ways, in the Christian life, sanctification means constant renewal. Romans 12:2 tells us to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. Just like businesses that refuse to adapt can die, churches that refuse to adapt to changing cultures die. Now, we don't change our message, God never changed. But if we stop learning, if we stop growing, if we stop reaching out, if we have this mentality of us four and no more, that could be the end of a church or a business. God never changes, but his methods often do. Adapt your strategy, keep your mission in place. Adapt or die. Lesson five is that we need to learn how to balance power and humility. Unchecked ego leads to the mad emperor syndrome and eventually to the next generation. Rome's succession problem. They would have a strong emperor with stable leadership and growth, but no succession plan. So it created this power vacuum, which caused chaos. Then you have a crisis period where instability threatens the culture. Rome built systems that lasted for centuries. For the Christian, building strong systems in many ways is about order, discipline, and stewardship. We see with Rome that their systems outlasted their rulers, and we realize that we serve a God of order, right? 1 Corinthians 14:40, talking about in the church, let all things be done decently and in order. So, as Christian leaders, we should build systems that serve people well. Healthy systems make leadership sustainable. God's kingdom is not chaotic, it's structured, it's fruitful, it's scalable. As a Christian leader, try to build strong systems. Lesson eight is to balance innovation and risk. This is one of the things we see in ancient Rome, this balance to encourage creativity with guardrails. What does that look like for you as a Christian leader? Number eight, balancing innovation and risk. Well, oftentimes faith and wisdom work together, right? Part of what made Rome successful was they often innovated without recklessness. And we need to, as Christian leaders, realize faith is not recklessness. It's obedience informed by wisdom. In Matthew 10:16, we're told to be wise as serpents as Christ's disciples, but harmless or innocent as doves. Wise as a serpent, innocent as a dove. Innovation is good, impulsivity is not good. The Holy Spirit inspires creativity, but he also calls us to be discerning. Whether it's in business or in ministry, don't just chase the trends. Pray for God to give you the right timing so you can be innovative, but balance that with risk. That's the eighth point. The eighth lesson we can learn from Rome. The ninth business principle we can learn from Rome is that ethics are non negotiable. Trust takes years to build, but moments to lose. And trust is essential for any kind of long term success. I think the fall of Rome gives a lot of warnings for modern business, right? When you look at what killed the world's greatest empire and how you're, as Christian leaders, number nine is certainly important, isn't it? That ethics are non negotiable. That speaks to our integrity, this speaks to our witness to the watching world. Rome collapsed when corruption became normalized. And Integrity is our most valuable currency as business owners, as Christian leaders, as pastors. Proverbs 11:3, the integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity. The integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity. When you compromise ethics for short term gain, you're not just losing trust, you're ultimately forfeiting your witness. Christians are called to build empires of light. We're not called to build the Roman Empire, but we should build empires of light, not of lies. Ethical excellence, being a person of integrity, in many ways, that's evangelism in action. So, how can you build a business empire that lasts? And I don't know if I even like the term business empire, but lead with vision, adapt relentlessly, prioritize ethics. What legacy will you leave by God's